Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. While I'm out here doing my rounds, I felt I needed to make a video. So here it is. Dear white people, as you sit down today at your tables with your family, your friends, and you discuss things over the dinner table that normally you wouldn't give too much of a thought for at different points of the year, but especially since it's a hot button topic, I felt the need to come out and make this video to send you guys a healthy little reminder. It could have been you. What do you mean? Well, white folk, a lot of y'all seem to get online, and it's not all of you, but there is a growing handful of you, and some of you people are hidden in the closet, if you will, pardon the expression, about how you really feel. But a lot of you get out here and make these broad brushstrokes and you character assassinate and you make these presuppositions about a person's character, i.e. Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, God knows how many other people who have met their ignominious end at the end of the barrel of a policeman's gun. But the one thing I want to point out to you is that this is not about race. And I think we can all agree on that. I think we can all agree that some of these young men did actually have some checkered pasts. But the one thing we disagree on is how we assess the situation. See, the one thing I can't get with is that I can understand your frustration about how people are carrying themselves out down there in Ferguson. And I get that. I actually will agree with you on that. I think there's a lot of things the black community can do to make itself better. I don't agree with the mode of how their frustration is being vented. But here's where we disagree. I believe that they do have a right to be frustrated. I do believe that they have a right to be a little pissed off. And the one thing is very telling to me, white America, is that you seem to believe it can't be you. Oh, yes, it can. You see, what I'm starting to notice, and even though I myself am an applicant to the police department because I want to be the change I want to see, is that the city and state governments their police departments are far overstepping the bounds that they should step. You know, their job is very simple: to protect and serve. But what happens is now the police are stepping over those bounds and they're making decisions of who lives and who dies, simply because they will get into altercations with the citizens. Most of the time, it's black citizens. And a lot of the time, it's things now from research. Some of you too. And they will sit around and they'll beat on you. And sadly, if you're black, you just might end up dead as a result of this encounter. And all the while you will sit there and you will make all these presuppositions. See, if I were to get shot, heaven forfend, by a police officer, because I wear baggy jeans and I wear Timbs and I wear sneakers and I wear a hood on my head, most of you would think I was a thug, but never understand that I was a family man, a veteran, never spent a day in jail, never sold drugs, never did anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, I got a profanity problem. I got a foul mouth. My marriage isn't perfect. But the majority of you out there would make this presupposition. I was a thug, I was a hoodlum, no good, not even know a thing about me. Erstwhile, you will go about your day not believing that the next time a cop pulls you over, it could happen to you. Well, unfortunately for one white teenager, one white young man, happened to him. And I'm not saying because a cop overstepped his bounds, I don't know what happened. All I know is there's a body camera. I'm waiting for the footage before I make my calls. But I wanted to come out and remind you guys that it can happen to you. This, like I said earlier, is not about race. Because I think at this point in America, we all know how we feel about racial issues. And yes, I do believe that this issue of a young black man dying does bring out the racial discussions, because we apparently aren't through with it yet. But that's a minor issue. So instead of you sitting around and pointing the fingers, instead of you sitting around thinking it can't be you, I want you to realize something. When you go about your day and you run into a police officer, all it takes is one cop to have one bad fucking day and just decides you giving a little too much lip. Or maybe he don't like the way you responded to him. Or maybe he just didn't like the way you moved or even how you breathed. Do you not realize you could end up on the floor, on the ground, with a gun in your back and your hands not too far thereafter behind there also? Now I'll admit, a lot of white folk tend to know their rights. That does happen. And a lot of y'all refuse to allow the shit that happens to black folk to happen to you. Well, there are some black folk who know their rights, and it still happens to them. So if it can still happen to those black folk, if it can happen to Latinos, if it can happen to Asians, it can happen to you. So don't go thinking that it's impossible. Don't go assassinating people's character thinking it can't happen to you. Because I can assure you, if you had some skeletons in your closet, it'll happen. Now, I'm not excusing what's going on, but I thought I should point out to you that we're at a point in society where if we don't figure this shit out together, eventually it will bring down this great nation that people have fought to build, people have died for. Remember, the troops that you love to praise, I was one of them. And they were white, they were black, they were Asian, they were Latino, and in the military, it wasn't about skin color. It's what man had your back, what man was watching your six and you watched his. Didn't matter then. It didn't matter during the Battle of Fort Wagner, where there were white men and black men serving together. In the thick of battle, it didn't matter about race, regardless of what conceived notions people had about each other because of skin color. Because at the end of the day, they were all trying to fight for one cause, one ideal. And they paid the ultimate price to ensure a whole country. And from them battles forward, yes, we have been at each other's throats throughout history. That has happened. But we all have fought for freedom. We have all fought for a better America. And in 2014, we are once again at war. We're not at war with each other for keeping a whole country, nor are we at war because someone decided to overstep the bounds of freedom that is foreign. We're at war at home because now we have to deal with a domestic problem. And it's a problem that we as a country don't want to acknowledge is a problem. Now, don't get me twisted. I'm an ardent supporter of the police. I believe in building police relations. I do. But the one thing I want you to keep in mind this Thanksgiving is that nobody is immune. Don't think that. It could be from the poorest white trash to the ritziest celebrity up to a senator, the president even. Anything is possible. And instead of attacking black folk, instead of attacking each other, instead of attacking other minorities, you really should examine what the hell is going on. Because I hate to break this to you, but when they're done with the black community and the other minorities, who do you think they're gonna fuck with next?